Hello, I am Dr. Ryan Alcantara with USC Rasier Career Services, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the information session with Teach for America. And I'm delighted to be joined by Joshua Dacres, um, the Recruitment Director for Teach for America. Teach for America operates three programs, a Teacher Corps, Ignite Fellowship, and alumni programs, all of which are designed to bring transformational relationships between students and leaders with or without an initial background in education. Um, with me today is Isabel Wright, the other half of the Rossier Career Services team, who will be helping to manage chat and the Q&A portion of our program.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here.
Great. And thanks, Isabel. Now, Joshua, I know you've got your slide deck, and I just want to kind of say from the beginning, invite you to provide some background on Teach for America. And as we get started, I just wanted to point out that USC Rasier offers a number of graduate and doctoral programs in education, counseling, and leadership. So as we start, I just want to clarify that Teach for America is not just for aspiring teachers or even seasoned teachers, but for leaders from any number of backgrounds who are committed to making transformative change in education. Is that the case, Joshua? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, that is absolutely correct.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, welcome, and I'll give the floor over to you and invite you to tell us more about the program.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to just share the information and share opportunities that may benefit you or maybe someone that you know. But the beauty of life is sharing opportunities and sharing knowledge, and I hope that's why we're all here today. So, without further ado, this is just my name, where I'm from, my position. I actually did the full-time program that I'm going to tell you about in Las Vegas. And without further ado, here we go. So this is just a quick agenda of what we'll go over in terms of what is Teach for America, what and where you can teach if you're interested in the full-time program, salary, finances, certification, and how you'll be trained as well. And then I'll also share more about some of our other opportunities you can get involved in. So, Teach America are bold, innovative doers. It says sparking real change in education. I believe that the change starts in education, but you choose where it expands to. And I'll kind of explain what that can look like as well. What Teach for America believes in is regardless of race, income, social identity, all children deserve the opportunity to learn, lead, and thrive. And obviously, the change needs to happen now, not today, but right now. So what is Teach for America? We have two programs that I'm going to highlight right now, which is the traditional core. And that is 2 years of service in which you can choose where it is that you would teach, as well as your subject and content area. You'll have the opportunity to obtain a master's degree while simultaneously completing the program as a part-time student. And you can choose of one of 40 regions across the country in which you can get involved in. I'm originally from New York, born and raised. However, when I did the core program, I chose to relocate to Las Vegas because they were 50th in education at the time. I wanted to make a difference. They're no longer 50th. So, good people doing good work, it matters. We also have our Ignite Fellowship, which is 100% virtual. I know for any PhD students or graduate students in general, this might be the perfect opportunity for you depending on your schedule. It's paid virtual tutoring, 100% online. It's about 2 to 5 hours a week, tutoring maybe for about 8 to 10 weeks, a minimum of one, maximum of four students in either elementary reading fundamentals, middle school mathematics, or high school, college, and career readiness. You can choose the subject as well as make your schedule. At the conclusion of the fellowship, you'll get up to $1,200 stipend, and you can do it as many times as you want between whenever you start your degree and graduate. Undergrads are also welcome to complete this program. The deadline for tutoring is April 30th. The deadline for the full-time program is March 10th. and that's the final deadline for seniors to start this summer and then ultimately in the fall. And for the Ignite tutoring, April 30th, once again, is the deadline for that program, and that is for the fall 2025 academic semester. And there's more than 10 million students impacted by this work in 33 years of history of the core. The numbers don't lie. And 81,000 additional hours of learning last year alone from the Ignite tutoring. So Ignite was actually founded due to the pandemic. A lot of students didn't have access, social distancing. You can't go to school. You can barely leave the house. So Ignite was kind of created to offset that decline in academic achievement for students across the country and kind of get them up to speed and back to where they should be, if not ahead of where they should be. We also do partner with Breakthrough Collaborative. We have a summer fellowship in which you can teach summer enrichment in one of 25 sites across the country. If you want to leave your home city or state, you can do so, and they'll pay your housing for the duration of the program as well as a stipend for the work. These are some more of our partners: City Year, Reading Partners, Saga Education, Center for Black Educator Development, to name a few. And this is, I know Ryan did mention earlier that, there's more opportunities than just the core. This is a snapshot of opportunities in which people who decide to work with Teach for America, what they pursue and what their life entails. So we have around 13,600 veteran educators. I'm one of those, okay? We have 2,400 school and system leaders that can look like administrators, vice principal, assistant principal, principal of a school, maybe higher education, whatever it is that you see true, you can achieve. 260 elected government officials, 210 social entrepreneurs, 310 Forbes 30 under 30, 40 under 40 honorees, if that's something you're interested in, policy advocacy, 14,000 and counting. It's really the work, as I said before, it starts in education and then it expands to whatever it is you see true for yourself. So you have to see the path and you can achieve the path. Teach for America is just a conduit to obtain positive educational outcomes for students. Now, what and where you will teach. So this kind of breaks down essentially what our regional compare tool does on our site. It gives you the opportunity to compare regions that we offer and see which one might be the best for you. And factors that are considered for how you're placed is eligibility, opportunity, and obviously your choices. So this kind of breaks down the financial breakdown of the core as well as summer training, transitional financial support, and support throughout the core. So once you actually start in the fall, if you were interested, that's when you would receive your paycheck and things like that. But during the summer training, Teach for America offers grants and scholarships, and in some cases, loans to help you make that transition and things like that, as well as need-based financial aid. And how does the certification work? So each region has their own certification, just like every state is different. And the process is different. Some states require masters, some do not. But this is kind of just to show you what to expect if you were interested, and more logistics could be given based off of any areas of interest. And these are some of our graduate school partnerships. So these are schools that Teach for America actually partners with to obtain a master's while simultaneously completing the program. And in some cases, these are a few schools that Teach for America partners with post TFA, the core, for alumni partnerships and things like that. This is just a quick overview of the timeline for the core: initial training, things like that, summer training, orientation, development, and when you prepare for alumnihood. So phase one is onboarding, 2, kickoff, 3, learning, teaching, refining, pre-service training. And then this is ongoing training, as well as your year one developing as a teacher and leader. You'll have observations, you'll have cohort meetings with other core members that are actually doing the same thing that you're doing, so you can bounce ideas, talk about what's going on, and ultimately refine yourself as a leader and educator at the moment, as well as mental health resources and support. And year 2 is really, it says exploring a leadership pathway. I call this year 2, it's really defining what you want to see true for yourself. So year 2 is tailored towards the pathway and impact you may want to make, whether that's in education or beyond, and connecting with the right people, the right resources, and the right information to get you to your destination. We do, like I said, this is just another breakthrough and overview of our Ignite Fellowship, which is 100% remote, and that's the paid virtual tutoring, as well as more information on Breakthrough Collaborative. For this year's cohort, the deadline for Breakthrough is February 27th of this year, and you can apply directly to sites. And then for the core, the deadline is March 10th, and Ignite April 30th. Now we can leave this to questions. I can pass it back to Ryan, open to whatever may work. And you may have questions later. I can also share my information at the end. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Joshua. Appreciate the overview of the program. So a couple of just initial kind of clarifications, because, our students, let's look at, say, our teachers that are earning their teaching credential and a master's degree. So do you have a high proportion of folks in the core that have their credentials and are just using Teach for America as an opportunity to teach in another part of the country? Or is it more typical that students are working on their teacher certification through that process?
Great question. So ultimately, it really depends on the prospect or the applicant that might be interested in pursuing TFA. You have some applicants that have no education experience, but are great leaders and just want to make a positive impact in education. And you have some that already have their credentials, but they want to join the network that Teach for America offers and obtain additional training, resources, and then, ultimately continue their work and then maybe change careers and things like that. I know when I actually did the program, there were a good amount of folks that were career changing careers. One of my closer friends was a lawyer, and he made the change from law into being a teacher, and he really found it fulfilling and energetic and things like that. And he was working in law for a good amount of years. So there's no perfect candidate or ideal candidate. I would say maybe the ideal candidate is a great leader. So if that's
Yep.
you, it's for you.
That's great. Well, and I see a parallel with that with our doctoral students and alumni. If you've been working in industry somewhere else and have decided now that you've got your organizational change and leadership degree, you want to change the world, you're interested in teaching, this could be a pathway to kind of fast track that, get some experience, possibly even get your teaching credential, and then be positioned for possibly an administrative position with some, rich experience now as teaching experience. So that's, yeah, I certainly see that as appealing for some of our students. Well, just to provide a little bit of context, the Trojan Network is big here at USC. And I was impressed by the slide where you were showing where Teach for America alumni are. Are there good opportunities for Teach for America alums to network with one another? Is that something that folks easily have access to, or is that something that they've got to pursue on their own?
Great question. So there are a few routes in which to, as an alum, to get connected. You can always connect with your local regional office that you did the program, or maybe you can connect with if let's say you move. Let's say I live in LA, but I'm moving to DC, but I'd like to get, connected with the DC region and what they're doing. You would send an email, connect with LinkedIn, and go from there. We also on our website do have a tab strictly for alums, which breaks down the partnerships we have if you're interested in post graduate another degree, as well as how to get connected with whatever you may or whoever you may be looking to get connected with. But so there are a few ways. You can either do your own independent research or you can just ask directly depending on where you are. But and I will also say that a lot of the regions, they do have alumni specific um programming and things like that to get students or alums who might be interested in certain pathways, accelerated opportunities to do such things. So for example, in Vegas, they actually do have a school administration pipeline. So people from all across the country will apply to the cohort, and then those that are accepted would come to Vegas and partake in that program to allow them to, once they're finished, be administrators wherever, whether that's in Vegas or beyond or wherever they want to go back to. So yeah, there's a lot of different programming though.
Great.
We used to have a Capitol Hill Fellowship as well. They're trying to bring that back. You can work right on the Hill. So there's a lot of different opportunities depending on your interests.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I'll remind our audience if you want to ask any question, you're welcome to raise your hand or add questions to the chat. So please feel free. Can you tell us a little bit more about the application process and timeline? You had the deadline, so that's helpful, but what should folks expect if they're thinking to apply? When do they find out? When do you find out where you're placed? All that kind of stuff.
Great question. So the application process for the core is really just uploading your resume and answering two short response questions in 250 to 400 words. Um, about a week after the deadline, you'll find out, a week to a week and a half, you'll find out if you're invited to interview. If you're invited to interview, the interview is about 90, up to 90 minutes. And that's a virtual interview in which you'll basically talk about yourself, why you're interested in Teach for America, um, give a sample teach and things like that, just to see your candidacy and, how you're trying, standard interview. And then about a week and a half after the final interview date, an admissions decision will be given.
Okay,
And then,
so about 6 to 8 weeks process after the deadline.
let me see. I can tell you exactly. So let me see. It's about, yeah, 4.5 weeks.
Oh, 4.5 weeks. Okay, so
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
tight
yeah. So
turnaround time.
it's a relatively quick timeline, and whenever the notification date of offer, they stick to it. So
Yep.
you'll know.
Great, great. And that sample teaching, I, I I anticipate some folks might get nervous about that, but you're just looking for their ability to kind of summarize the content and present that.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. A lot of people do get nervous about the sample teach. I know I did when I was applying because I didn't study education. I didn't have any formal education experience, but I did have different leadership experiences and things like that. So I was freaking out, and then I kind of just prepared based off of what, they gave me, and it was a lot easier than most people would think once you just come up with what you want to go with.
And you're not looking for polished teachers. I mean, the
Oh,
training is
oh God,
provided
no,
and all
no,
that
no.
stuff. And so
It's
again, it's your willingness to be a transformational leader.
Yes, I would say definitely that. And I mean, just how you articulate, explain things. It's not going to be perfect
Yeah,
unless you have a background in that. Then it could be perfect, but that's still not the expectation. It's just to broadcast and showcase your oral skills, explanation, things like that.
yeah, very good, very good. As I review the Teach for America material, transformational is a term that comes up often. Can you talk more about how Teach for America has had a transformational impact on students and education in the U.S.? I ask in particular because here at USC Rossier, we're particularly focused on equity and developing equity leaders. So I potentially see a strong alignment between our students and your program. So please tell us more.
Wonderful. So I would say, one of my personal beliefs is the standard is the standard. And with Teach for America, the numbers don't lie. I'll go back to a slide, let's see, that breaks down some numbers on impact that is being had on students. So we currently have a alumni network of approximately 63,000 plus across the country over the 33 years that Teach for America has been completing the core program. 10 million students have been impacted, as well as 81,000 additional hours of learning have been provided to students. And I think that, when you talk about what Rossier is doing, you talk about what Teach for America is doing, the opportunity is really the biggest thing, and the numbers follow suit. Teach for America's training is very thorough. I've done it myself. And, you know, the leadership that each individual brings to the table highlights through the numbers and the impacts that are, present in the classroom.
Wonderful. Um, so tell us more, what kinds of opportunities and challenges await those who join the Teacher Corps? What's that experience like?
Well, I would say, depending on your background, I can only speak from my personal experience. So, as I said, I didn't have traditional teaching experience coming out of university. Um, so, in the summer, you go to sessions for half of the day, but the first week is pure sessions. So, kind of teaching you what you're going to need to learn and the getting you familiar with the concepts and terminology that will be needed to be successful. And then you come back about a week and a half later, and you start summer training, which is sessions. And the first few days are sessions a whole day. And then you transition the next week to sessions in the afternoon, summer school teaching in the morning. And I can tell you personally, when I had to do summer school teaching my first day, I've never freaked out over anything in my life. But the day before that summer school teaching, I was freaking out. And it's not because it was more so I didn't want to fail the students. That was my biggest thing when I did the program. I didn't want to fail the students because I know how important education is. But I will tell you this, the training was very thorough. And when that first summer school class started, nothing else mattered when the students came in, and boom, we hit the ground running. So you're gonna feel nerves, you're gonna feel a whole bunch of different emotions, but if you keep the main thing, whatever that is for you, you will be successful. And I will say they do give a lot of resources and opportunities, does Teach for America, as well as you will also have a coach throughout the summer training. So they'll be able to give you any support or answer any questions, feedback, and things like that. And during the summer training, there is also a licensed veteran educator in the classroom with you. They're not teaching, you're teaching, but they are overseeing to make sure you're doing what you need to do.
Very good. And then when you transition to your placement site at the beginning of the academic year, are there other Teach for America teachers on site too, or? what does that experience look like, and how is housing arranged? What are those kinds of things?
Great question. So in terms of a school site, Teacher America does operate with a cluster model. So clustering meaning that there'll be first year core members at your school. There'll be second year core members. There'll also be alums as well. So that way you still have that network of community and things like that. In terms of housing, leading up to when you're supposed to report for summer training, um, the region does share opportunities and information with you in order to find out where you might want to live, what might be the right fit for you. I know when I did the program, my region offered a realtor, so she actually drove us around to a few places to check out and things like that. And just depending on, where you are in life. Let's say like I was traditional undergrad, so it was just me coming out. But some people who do career changes and things like that bring their whole family, so it looks a little different. But there are resources ahead of time to prepare you for that
Great, great.
transition.
So that kind of comprehensive support. Excellent. Any questions from our participants?
Yes, is it okay if I unmute myself?
Yes, please ask questions. We hear you.
Thank you. I was curious as a veteran educator, which certain fellowships you participated in. It sounds like you did the summer program, but I'm interested to hear how you continued your involvement with Teach for America and what that looked like.
Wonderful. So I actually did the full-time program, the summer program. Like, so within the full-time program, there's a summer component. So that was the summer component. But now they do have the tutoring and the summer opportunity, which you can engage in. I will say once I finished the program, my second year, an opportunity presented itself for me to join the national team in terms of recruitment. That's kind of what I do now. So I kind of I pursued that route because I saw what was going on in the classroom, and personally, I wanted to quantify my impact. I figured, let's say when I was in the classroom, I had about 150 to maybe 175 students per academic year. If I can make positive impacts in their academic lives, imagine what I can do if I bring twice as many, 50, maybe 100 educators that are better than me. Well, not even educators, leaders that are better than me or have that same passion to create positive income impacts and outcomes for students in the classroom. That'll be the best. So that's kind of how I got involved in the work that I'm doing now, because I just wanted to quantify my impact and, scale it.
Great. That's great.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce myself, but I'm Rajveer. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to
And
meet you. Nice to meet you.
thank
And thank you
you.
for your question. I appreciate you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank
Any other
you.
questions?
Yeah, I did have another one. I know tutoring, it can include like teaching of all subjects. So I was wondering if specifically through the tutoring of Teach for America, is it focused on all subjects or certain particular subjects?
Great question. So for the tutoring, there are three base categories in which you can choose. So the first category is elementary level reading and literacy, and this another opportunity is middle school mathematics, and relatively new is high school, college, and career readiness. So those are the three categories that are being offered right now. More can be added, but since the program is relatively new and is scaling to different locations and regions across the country, that's what they're offering right now.
Thank you. And that includes the Ignite Fellowship, right?
Yes, yes, yes. So that would
Okay,
be for the Ignite Fellowship.
got it. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions.
Yeah, That's great. Thank you very much for your questions. Uh, any other highlights that you want to share, Joshua, as we wrap up our conversation here?
I would say, with anything in life, do your independent research, see what works for you and what might be a good fit for you. There's going to be good, there's going to be bad, but everybody's journey is different. That's what makes us unique. So do your research, and if you are a leader that's passionate about helping others, this might be one of the opportunities might be the right fit for you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I know you'll be joining our USC Rasier K-12 Career Fair on Friday, February 28th. Thanks so much for supporting us there. So if students have questions, they can find you there. But what's the other best way to get a hold of you if they don't catch you at the career fair?
Yes, I can, well, you can search my first and last name on LinkedIn. I don't think
Great.
I have my email on here, but my first and last name is on LinkedIn, and we can always connect there and then share information and things like that if you ever have questions.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us and giving us the opportunity to learn more about your program. Certainly compatible with the work that we do and the graduates that students and graduates that we have at USC Rasier, and look forward to involving our students in your application process.
Wonderful. Thank you for the consideration and the time as always.
Thank you so much. Fight on, everybody.
All right.
And